My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Alright, today we have another watch from Islander Watches. This watch was very generously lent into the channel by a good friend of the show. So Islander Watch is the house brand over at Long Island Watch, and I have reviewed quite a few of them on the channel and think they represent great value overall. I will pop a few of those reviews into the upper right hand corner if you are curious to check out a few more Islanders. So before we begin this review, if you're enjoying the content of the channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So price and availability. At the time of this recording, this watch is available on longislandwatch.com for the price of $349. And starting with the case, it's 38 millimeters in diameter. It's 44.5 millimeters lug to lug. It's only 10.5 millimeters thick, and then it has a 28 millimeter lug width opening. So this case is very similar to the case of the Seiko Sarb, except it is a full millimeter thinner. So if you enjoy the Sarb case, you're going to love this one. It has the same interesting stepped design that I haven't really seen on any other watch besides the Sarb before. The top level is brushed, and then the rest of the case is high polish. The brushing is consistent into the end link of the bracelet. And then the big star of the case is obviously this fluted bezel, which is probably going to be divisive. If a blingy watch isn't your thing though, the same style watch comes without the fluted bezel in a few different colorways. And then sized up for my 6 3/4 inch wrist, it weighs in at 110 grams. The 5-link bracelet starts at 20 millimeters and has a very nice taper down to 16 millimeters. There's a touch of play in the solid end link, but it's not really that noticeable. The articulation of the bracelet across the back of the watch is excellent, and it is also excellent between the individual links. This is an extremely comfortable bracelet. The double push-to-point clasp has a safety catch and is unsigned. The scissor is nicely milled. There are only 3 micro positions, but the links are so small that you should have no problem getting a good fit, and the smaller clasp maintains the elegance and the taper of the bracelet. Sizing is easily accomplished with screw links. The screw-in exhibition caseback is going to help with 100 meters of water resistance. I love exhibition casebacks, despite the fact that they tend to make the watch a bit thicker, but this one remains extremely thin even with the extra height. In future versions of this watch, I would love to see a decorated rotor. This watch is powered by the Miyota 9015, which I do prefer to the NH35 you usually find in micro brands. This is a 28,800 vibration per hour hacking hand-winding movement with a 42-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -10 to +30 seconds per day. It also features a quick set date. The 6mm screw down crown is nicely signed with the Islander logo. The threading and unthreading action is very smooth, and the crown is the right size to use and operate the watch. The flat sapphire crystal sits flush to the bezel and is treated with anti-reflective coating, which helps with the overall legibility of the watch. The dial is a sunburst grayish blue that I'm not actually a huge fan of. The blue feels sort of muted, but this is obviously just a personal preference. The chapter ring is nicely matched in color to the dial, however, and features dashes for each of the minutes with slightly thicker dashes for each of the hour positions. The Islander logo is applied at the 12 o'clock position, with automatic also applied at the 6 o'clock position. This is the only text on the dial, and it's very clean overall. The stick indices are nicely loomed, and you do have a double index at 12. The date window at 3 o'clock has a clipped index. It's about 1/3 of the regular size in length, but I think with the white of the date wheel, it is still in balance with the rest of the dial. The baton hands are high polished with lume at each of the ends. This helps with legibility not only in the dark, but also during the day, as high polish hands have a tendency to get lost in bright, direct light. The hour and minute hands are plenty long, with the minute hand terminating close to the chapter ring. The second hand is all high polish. I would have liked to have possibly seen beveled hands on this watch, as the hands feel a bit flat versus the light play of the fluted bezel. The lume is responsive, bright, and lasts. You can see it's basically on par with the Seiko Sarb here. And then popping it on the Timegrapher, we're getting +4 seconds a day in the dial-up position, healthy amplitude, and minimal beat error. And then with the crown down, we're also getting 0 seconds a day. So I do find better positional accuracy in the Miyota than the Seiko NH35. The only downside of the Miyota is you do tend to get some rotor noise occasionally, because the rotor will only wind the watch in one direction and will free spin in the other. Here is the watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. This is a great size for a dressy style watch, as well as for people with smaller wrists, and you can see it wears nice and snug against my wrist and is very slim. This is a very comfortable watch to wear. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, as always with Islander watches, you're getting most of the specifications you could desire. Stuff like a sapphire crystal with air coating, a good movement, screw down crown, etc. And then in this particular case, I feel the bracelet is especially well executed, especially at this price point. It has a nice dramatic taper and a tidy clasp. And then finally, this watch is incredibly thin, which is great in dressier style watches. As for the cons, well, my cons with this watch are mostly down to personal taste. I don't really resonate with the style color, and for some reason, the handset just feels sort of lifeless. Also, I probably wouldn't regularly wear a watch with the fluted bezel. So is this watch worth the money? Well, there's no question that this watch represents a good value. The Miyota 9015 is a great movement, and I've seen it used in microbrand watches costing up to $1,000. In addition to the movement and a solid set of specifications, you're also getting the assurance of excellent customer service, something that adds another layer of value to the brand. With the SAR becoming increasingly expensive and hard to find, I think Mark is really smart to offer a watch in its old price point with a similar set of specifications. So there you have it, the Islander ISL 38. What do you guys think about this watch? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches.